Let's talk about the system behind Rotted Capes. We wanted to create a system simple enough for new players to hit the ground running and allow them to create some amazing stories. We call this the Uncanny System. It's a system that allows for creative problem solving while creating dramatic moments where the heroes push themselves too far. Because Rotted Capes is not just a superhero game, it's a superhero horror game. A game that asks you, what kind of hero will you be once the world is ended? Before we get on to the rest of the fun stuff, let's talk about the foundation. If you've played the most popular role-playing game in the world, you're already familiar with this dice mechanic. You're going to get one of these. A d20. You're going to roll it, you're going to add some numbers to it to hit or surpass a target number. Simple. Actions in combat also feel familiar. On your action, you get to move, take an action, take a bonus action if you have one, maybe take a reaction between your turns. But in Rotted Capes, we add another layer to it, because sometimes heroes want to take big actions that take time and focus. So we introduce the demanding action. Demanding actions, when taken, do not take effect until the beginning of your next turn, unless you get interrupted. Imagine channeling a giant energy blast, or struggling to hold up a truck for some survivors to escape, or setting up that devastating attack. Big moments take commitment. The rules stay simple, so the action moves fast. Instead of a giant set of skills, we have something called skill sets. A skill set is a descriptive statement of your hero's background and experience. For example, urban explorer, beat cop, Olympic hopeful, combat medic. They tell us who your hero was before the world fell apart. And instead of rolling a skill, you explain how your skill set applies to the scene. So instead of saying, hey, I rolled perception, you get to say, I'm going to use my urban explorer training to check for weak spots on the bridge. Now the dice are not just resolving a mechanic, they're resolving the story. Because heroes in comics don't solve their problems by checking a long list of skills. No, they solve them by being clever. Another part of the system are plot points. Plot points are a narrative currency in the game, earned by heroes when they lean into their character flaws or create dramatic moments. Later, they could spend these plot points to push their luck, try a power stunt, or take control of the narrative for just a moment. Plot points allow players to create those iconic character moments where the comic book hero falls down, gets back up, and says, "Not today." But every time the heroes spent a plot point, they're handed over to the editor-in-chief, our name for the game master. The editor-in-chief could use them to create dramatic moments in the game and push the heroes to their breaking point. Now, let's talk about powers. In many superhero games, powers are stuck, rigid, fixed. But in Rotted Capes, powers evolve through experimentation. Heroes could attempt something called a power stunt, a new way to use their powers. Sometimes they could emulate an existing power, or sometimes they could come up with a totally new way to use their power. For example, Speedster could try to run across water. Energy Blaster could try to ricochet his blasts off the wall. A Telekinetic could try to deflect some debris in a different direction. If it works, you discovered a new power stunt. Use it enough times and you can master it and use it anytime, knowing it permanently. Because in comic books, heroes don't just unlock abilities, they figure them out. In Rotted Capes, sometimes Pushing your powers comes at a cost. Using some powers accumulate something called burnout. Accumulate too much, and your powers might shut down for the rest of the scene. Which means every hero is constantly asking themselves, do I unleash everything now, or save something for when things get worse? Because in Rotted Capes, everything always gets worse. There's another system to keep tension high in Rotted Capes. Heroes track two kinds of damage: stamina and wounds. Stamina represents fatigue, stress, and the punishment of a fight. But when things get really bad, damage becomes wounds. Broken bones, deep cuts, lasting injury. Because in Rotted Capes, heroes are powerful, but they're not invincible. And if your table wants to play a more dangerous game and ramp up the difficulty, we present a bunch of optional rules called the brutal continuity. These rules push the heroes to their breaking point. Pushing your powers too far might have lasting consequences, which extend far after a scene. Maybe they might suffer a mental break under all the stress of a world gone insane. Or maybe they might just run out of food and water more often. Because sometimes a story isn't about winning the fight, it's about what it costs to survive it. So that is the general overview of the Uncanny System. It's a system where the heroes are powerful, but they're never comfortable. It's a system that encourages creative problem solving instead of rules lowering. It's a system that escalates instead of stalling. So the question isn't, is your hero powerful enough? The question is, what are they willing to sacrifice to save what's left? And that's the Uncanny System. And this is Rotted Capes.